Today we're going to make the most popular dish in Portugal, bacalhau. Bacalhau is a salted cod that is seen throughout Portugal. There's many different bacalhau recipes. This one is from the port region of Portugal, all the way up north. It's the mouth of the Douro River, probably Portugal's most famous area for red wines in the Douro Valley. So this recipe is called Zé do Pipo. Zé means Joe in Portuguese. It was a chef in the 1960s that invented this recipe in the port region and actually won a national contest with it. It basically, for Americans, it's like shepherd pie with bacalhau. So it's a mashed potato mixed with bacalhau. I've already been soaking my bacalhau overnight because it's salted. You have to soak it for 24 hours, change the water about 4 times. So that's ready to go. We'll get right to it. Get my garlic and onions peeled and chopped. Now I will cut my onions. I'm going to cut these in rounds. Right now I'll peel the potatoes. Poach our bacalhau in milk. I'm going to add fresh bay leaves from my garden to the milk and also some fresh garlic. Put those in there. Put in the fresh garlic. Now I'll add my bacalhau. Okay, it's been about 7 minutes since I put the cod in. Flip it around and cook it for about another 7 minutes. Now in the second pan, I'm going to saute the onions in extra virgin olive oil. I'm not trying to color up the onions, so I'm just going to cook them until they're translucent over medium to low heat. Okay, my bacalhau has been cooking for about 14 minutes, and you can see how it's starting to get some separation. A lot of times in cooking with fish, they call that flaking. So that's the stage you want to get it to. You know, probably depending on the cut of bacalhau, how well it was salted, how long you soaked it for, that might vary a little bit. But as long as you could flake it apart like this, that's what you want. So for this one, about 15 minutes. Now I'm going to take the bacalhau out of the milk, and then I'll break it up and flake it apart. In the same milk that I cooked the bacalhau, I'm going to cook the potatoes. I do have some more bacalhau recipes on my website, justcookwithmichael.com. Tell you, after cooking that bacalhau, my kitchen's starting to smell like my grandmother's used to smell. Usually I believe in salting as you go along the process, but depending on how much salt gets pulled out from the actual salt cod, it's hard to judge that in the beginning until the later stages of cooking bacalhau dishes. I haven't added any salt to the milk. I haven't added any salt to the onions. I will determine this later on when I mix the ingredients together, and it really isn't until the later stages of cooking this dish that I'll make adjustments with salt. Okay, my potatoes have been going for about 15 minutes. You want to be able to pierce the potato fairly easily with a fork, then you know your potatoes are done. So now what I'm going to do is take out these potatoes, use a slotted spoon, and put it in a bowl. You could now take out the bay leaf also if you come across any bay leaf pieces. I'm going to put them in a bowl that'll allow me plenty of room to mash the potatoes in a little bit. Also, this recipe always gets a few egg yolks, and if I added egg yolks to this potato mixture right now, it would basically cook the egg immediately. So I want the temperature to drop a little bit, at least to about 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Or, you know, probably just take about 10 minutes for it to lose some of its heat. But you always want to mash potatoes while they're hot, because if you mash potatoes after they have cooled down completely, they're much more likely to get a gooey type of texture instead of a fluffy texture. So that's always one of the key things when mashing potatoes. Okay, now I'll crack the eggs to get the yolk out. I'm going to start to mash them, but I'm not going to add in the egg yolk until they at least drop below 140. If you don't have a thermometer, you should get one. They're just so valuable. I think it's one of the most valuable things in your kitchen. Check the temperature. It is about 110 degrees. So that is cool enough where it's not going to cook the eggs as soon as I put it in. So before I add my egg yolks, I am going to taste the mashed potato. That's good. It's definitely not overly salty. The bacalhau has plenty of salt, so I'm not going to add any more salt to this potato mixture. Stir in the egg yolks. All right, now we're going to go through the process of flaking the bacalhau. I'm going to remove the skin that's on the bottom of the bacalhau, and also sometimes it's boneless, but this bacalhau has some bones in it. So if I feel some bones that are along the top of the loin, I will take those out. There's no easy way to do it. You just have to dig your fingers in there and feel if you have any bones. I got this bacalhau when I was down in San Diego visiting my daughter. They actually have a Portuguese hall down there and they sell bacalhau. Up here closer to home, I actually find it in an Italian delicatessen, is the closest seller of bacalhau to my house. But you also could find it on Amazon. I have ordered it from there before. If you want to know if you have a Portuguese dog, yep, Portuguese, eats bacalhau. Well, you know, I think Labradors come from Newfoundland and that's where they fish for bacalhau. So, hey, you want more? Get Maj. All right, next I'm going to chop up some fresh parsley. I have my cod that I flaked up quite a bit. Just get 2 forks and try to break them up in small pieces for even distribution. And now just stir this all together. I did add about 2 tablespoons of butter to the mashed potato mixture while it was still warm. I'm going to add my black olives to the mixture. I'm going to add about half of a can and then reserve half to use as garnish. I've looked up quite a few different Zé do Pipo recipes. They all have mayonnaise, but it looks like, because I thought it was kind of unusual to put mayonnaise. It's not something you see all the time in Portuguese cuisine. It appears this is a casserole version of the dish. The original dish was more of a whole loin, and they would put that on a plate, surround it with the mashed potato mixture, then put a bunch of mayonnaise, kind of smother the top of the bacalhau loin, that whole piece, with mayonnaise, and then after put it in the oven, and that would be the presentation. But it looks like every recipe has mayonnaise, so I'm gonna go for it too. I think it's optional, but put some in there. And now I'll taste it. Yep, I think it's plenty salty. Just gonna leave it the way it is. So I have my casserole dish. I'm gonna put in the onions on the bottom. It smells so good. Now I'll add the mashed potatoes. Now you want to put it in the oven at 350 for about 30 minutes or until the internal temperature gets to about 160 degrees Fahrenheit. Hey, this turned out fantastic. Now you can make the bacalhau dish Zé do Pipo also. Get out there, enjoy it with your family. Go cook for someone you love.